Greetings, travelers. Long time no see, and welcome to what is a brand new tutorial, hopefully a series, about Better Questing by Funway Guy. In a nutshell, it is another way of having a quest book in your game. It was definitely created as an alternative to what most know as hardcore questing. And this first episode in what will be a series for this tutorial, like most, is going to cover the basics, kind of what it is, what it does, some of the differences between hardcore questing and better questing, and later episodes we'll get into the more advanced stuff as well as discuss some of the expansions that are available. And some of the other key features of the different types of quests that are available in... Well, for this series, the primary focus will be on Better Questing and the first standard expansion. Just for those that need to know, there is also RF expansion and a custom NPCs expansion. Both of those integrate into Better Questing, and they expand on the functions available with quest abilities that are specific to those two mods, whereas the standard expansion, think of Better Questing by itself as just the base, the API of sorts, with the standard expansion the part that actually puts in a number of quest options and the kind of stuff that you're familiar with the fetch quests and the item quests and everything. Whereas RF has stuff that's based on RF and their functions, and custom NPCs has quest abilities specific to custom NPCs. So one of the key differences is with hardcore questing mode, you always had the quest book to start with, and that's how you interacted. If you lost it, you had to craft a new one. Better Questing, on the other hand, does not. It is a key-bound GUI. By default, it is the key closest to the number 1 on the keyboard. I've remapped it because that interferes with the keys that I use for other things. I've remapped it to O for the purposes of this quest book or quest tutorial. But if you press the keybind, you'll get this, which is the quest book. Now, one of the things you'll notice is right now we're in edit mode. There's no quests whatsoever. But some of the key points on this is with Better Questing, you see what you get, and you have to create a resource pack of sorts just to be able to change pictures and everything. With Better Questing, Funway has actually integrated several different options for themes. These come as part of the standard expansion. By default, you have the overworld, then you have standard dark, the end, standard light, nether, stronghold, vanilla. And overworld, excuse me. I think we'll go with standard light because that's easier to see. It does have a party function, just like Better Quest or hardcore questing mode. You can do this in hardcore with lives. You can do it as normal. So a lot of those same functions that you're familiar with will do that. You'll know you're in edit mode right off the bat because edit mode will have this setting button, which you can see gives you a bunch of different options, which we will cover in a later tutorial. But that's how you can, by just a glance, see that you're in edit mode versus standard play mode. One of the biggest differences between hardcore questing mode and better questing mode is hardcore is meant to be not so much user friendly, but it does grant a certain amount of ease of use if right out of the box. Better questing does take a little bit to get used to. But hardcore questing is pretty, when it comes to doing quests and quest lines and everything, you can have quite a few quest lines, but the overall display, you see this box here, and, with hardcore questing mode, you would say this is it, this is all you get. Better questing is different because you actually, you can't see it because there's no picture back there, but it actually scrolls to the right, to the left, up, down, quite a ways. So you can have quite the expansive quest chain and set up on each quest line. Now, this, so far you're thinking, well, this is no big deal. Where the tutorial is going to go in the other options is the building and the designing of the quests, because that is where the challenge and main difference is. Once you get used to it and you're familiar with the interface, it actually gets very, very easy. But, because it's not as limited in what you can and can't do, it does actually give it a little bit more difficulty in the learning curve, but well worth it once you get started. You'll see an import function. This is something where, like, say somebody else has, the key feature with hardcore questing, one of the more recent versions, or maybe it's been a few versions ago, they allowed you to export hardcore questing books to JSON format. Better Questing allows you to import those, so you could somewhat convert what hardcore questing puts in the JSON into Better Questing, and it will convert the quests and how they function to the corresponding types of quests. One of the other key differences, there is going to be some loss in the translation, so to speak, so you may have to do some editing. But, if you have a hardcore questing quest chain that you set up that has like 150 quests, far easier to import and then fix any quests that have issues versus starting from scratch if you wanted to switch to this. So that's one of the main key points. There's several different options, and we'll go over some of the basics. You see add new, you see add remove quest, designer. This thing uses a quest database, where as you create quests, you can use and reuse them even in other quest chains if you wanted. So, if you came up with a situation where you needed the same quest to complete in two different areas, potentially you could do that way. It's all done in JSON format, saved on the config directory for the pack that you're working on. It also will load for each world that same quest setup that you create here for each world, so you could reuse it. The only downside there, of course, is it's not as big a problem as it used to be, but item IDs still tend to be a thing. So if the item IDs change from one world to the next, then the quest may not work. But it does allow for easily updating as well, because, and we'll get into some of the commands that are available in this episode. But what's going to happen is, you could easily send the update out, and then somebody can import the updates into the world and update their existing quest line. So I really like that. One of the other nice differences this one has, and has always been an issue on hardcore questing, especially on larger servers. Larger servers, because of the way hardcore questing mode stores players, there is a limitation that when you hit that, it tends to cause issues. Whereas this is saved in a different format, and talking to Funway, he has yet to see where the limit is. There probably is a user limit, because numbers do have a limit, but if you've got a server that's that large that you hit the limit, God help you, and you are a saint for being an admin of a server that large. Quest wise, because of the way that this works, it would take an ungodly number of quests created with enormous amounts of interaction between quests to really slow this mod down. I can't say enough. I was actually, decided to move to this with the newest installment of Tolkiencraft, because I love the functions. The fact that it integrates with custom NPCs was the key thing for me, but it definitely allows for it's been amazing. So, the reason I hadn't come out with this tutorial sooner was because I wanted to get to a point where I was more familiar with how to do this, because I can't teach you guys how to use it if I don't fully understand it. And to be honest, there is so much in this mod that there is stuff that even I am still learning, but for the vast majority of you out there that would potentially use this mod for their quest book, we're going to cover most of everything you'll know. Now, again, I mentioned in the beginning about the quest book that you actually hold. This one doesn't have it. There are a couple of mods out there that do add an item. All its purpose is to give you a book to do what the keybind does. Now, if you're in a big pack with a lot of mods and a lot of keybinds, it might be more beneficial to have that, because then you're not reliant on a keybind, so that saves you one more key that you could use for a different mod. I've had it in my pack just because of the comfort level for people that, they're used to having a quest book to open, and they're not used to hitting just a keybind to get everything open. So, to that extent, I could see using it too, but you really, really don't need it because of the keybind. So, it got dark. Anyway, wow. So let me change it to daylight real quick. Anyway, there we go. And yes, let them burn. Alright, so the two main commands that you're going to use the most are BQ admin and default. And then you have, well, if you hit enter, it should give you the options. So you have save, load, and set. So most often the set is if you want to give it a file name. But primarily you're going to use save and load. Save, I will tell you that it will retain what you're working on until a server restart. So you always want to get in the habit as you're building this quest book to often use default and save. That takes everything you've done, saves it to the database that's stored in the config directory for better questing. I can tell you from personal experience, forgetting to do that after having done a lot of work on the quest book and then realizing that I forgot to save and lost it all and had to do it over again. So really get in the habit of doing that. If you have to, set up a command block to run that command every so often. If that's what it's going to take for you to remember. But, the opposite of that is load, and that will load whatever the current database is. So if you had, say, an existing world and you wanted to start using the quest book that you had created to see how it would work, you do load, and that loads from that config directory in a new world. The other one is going to be BQ admin edit, and this is what turns the edit mode on and off. So true, if you do edit, you'll see edit mode turns off. If you do it again, turns it back on. If you want to specifically turn it off or on, then use true false for on or off. Those are the ones you're going to use the most. There's a few other commands, and there'll be links in the description to the Better Questing mod, and from there you can go to his wiki and everything and see all the extended commands that he has, because there are some specifically for players. You can also reset the entire quest book if you need to for everybody, for the players. Funway guy really went and did a lot of work, and he's even added some new features, especially in 110, from the work I've been doing for requests I've had from him to add additional functionality. So, he's very friendly guy, very open to suggestions. Just got to give a good reason for why you need that particular function. But I think this will be it for episode 1. Again, the next few episodes, they're going to be based off of, we're going to go into some of the basics of beginning to set up quests, how the database works, how quests work, some of the things that you can do for extended uses. Then we'll try and get into some of the more advanced stuff, like trying to set up some, quests that are set to work. If you want to set if they do A or B, depending on how you do that, opens up another quest line, or you have to do A and B, that kind of stuff. So we'll get into that into the further episodes. But for now, thank you guys for coming by. I know it's been glad to have you guys watching the video. Hoping this series is going to help you guys as much as some of my other tutorials. Don't forget the social media links in the description. Visit me on Discord. And for now, you guys have a great day.